Hey everybody, it's me Stacy at Scrapbooking Made Simple here with another YouTube demo for you. Today we're going to be bringing you products by many vendors, Spellbinders, Heartfelt Creations, Clear Snap. We're going to be using our Big Shot machine. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll on down and we're going to get started for today. Okay, down we go. All right, there we have it. Okay, so today we're going to be working with product by Heartfelt Creations, and they are primarily a stamp company that makes red rubber stamps on cling and block. We happen to buy it in the cling because that saves on space and you don't have to worry about those bulky wood blocks anymore. You can just use your acrylic block. So they have partnered with Spellbinders to make dies that match their stamps. So here I have a die that is a tulip, and here I have the tulip stamp to go with it. Here I have a hummingbird die, and I have the matching hummingbird stamp here. So I'm going to show you how to use these products today, and we're going to make a quick card. Now we're also going to be using product by Spellbinder, and these are the new Grand Nestabilities, and grand they are. They are really big. They're fabulous. Now all of them will of course go through the Big Shot Pro machine without any problem, but several of these, the larger sizes, will not go through your standard Big Shot machine from Ellison. They come in scallops and ovals and rounds, and if you have any questions about which ones will and will not fit in what machine you have, please feel free to email me or give us a call, and I will let you know which ones you can and you cannot work with. I can tell you that some of the labels that they do in the Grands, the entire set will fit through your Big Shot machine. But today we're going to be working with the ovals. So I wanted to make a card using those Spellbinder Grands, and I took a piece of cardstock and trimmed it on down and I cut it out and I scored it in the center. Then I took my Spellbinder Grand and I lined it up so that my scoring was just on the inside of the actual die. If I had covered the entire thing with paper, it would have cut an entire die out. But I wanted to keep that scoring so it would make a card. So I held it so that there was some space. I held the scoring inside the actual cut of the die. If I wanted to make it smaller, I could have made a card that size. I could have made a card that size. And then I ran it through my Big Shot machine. And this is what I was able to make. There's my card base. Then I wanted to add a layering on top, and that's what we're going to be stamping on. So I took another Spellbinder Grand die and just went ahead and ran it through my Big Shot machine to give me a nesting oval. And that oval nests beautifully on top because all the nestabilities, of course, nest really nice. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this sheet, and that's what we're going to be working with for a little while. Now, we have these stamps from Heartfelt Creations, and I really like the tulip, and that's the one I'm going to stamp with this morning, that and the hummingbird. So I've got my stamp here, and I'm going to ink it up. And I am using Memento ink because why not? If you decide to color these with Copic, you can because you've used the Memento. And if you don't want to color with Copics and you want to color with chalks and dye ink like we're going to be doing, that's fine too. Your Memento really allows you to make last-minute decisions and change your mind because it's the ink that will work with everything. So that's what we're using. It's the Tuxedo Black. I'm going to go ahead. I've inked up my stamp, and I am just going to put it right down here on my face of my card. And there we go. Now, because they're red rubber stamps, they stamp beautifully. And I have got my first stamp done. Then I am going to take my hummingbird and put my hummingbird on. And the hummingbird is part of this set here. And again, I'm going to ink it up. And I'm going to stamp it right on. And I love the flexibility of the cling stamps, the red rubber cling. You don't have all that bulk wood to store, and you already have, most of us already have a lot of acrylic blocks, so it just makes it so much easier. So now I have got my 2 images on there, and I am going to color them. And the way I'm going to color them is by using my Color Box Dies Cat's Eyes. And these are a great little stamp pad. Now, of course, they come full size as well, but this is an inexpensive way to have lots and lots of colors. There's, I think there's like 24, maybe a little bit more of the dye inks, and the chalks there's probably 40 of. But it gives you, for $2, it lets you have a huge range of colors in your arsenal without having a huge capital investment. I mean, if you're talking about black ink or brown ink, yeah, you probably want to have a full-size stamp pad. But when you're getting into some colors that you might not use all the time, the Cat's Eye is a really great way to have a huge selection without spending too much money. And again, at $2 each, they're a great value. Now, these are brand new, so they're really, really juicy. So I'm taking my Q-tip and I'm kind of getting it, wiping it off a little bit just so it's not so juicy. And I'm going to take it and color in my flower. And I'm just going to smudge it. This isn't about being necessarily fabulously accurate or staying inside the lines. This is about just having fun and getting some color on that flower. And I'll do a little bit of shading, a little bit darker on the bottom, a little bit lighter in the center. And there. And I'm going to take some of my greens in the Cat's Eye and do the same thing. Get it on there. And color in my stem. And maybe add a little bit of a khaki to there, just again to add a little bit of shading. But can you see how it's nice to have all of these colors without having to have to buy full-size stamp pads? And then I'm going to do the same thing with my hummingbird. I'm going to put a little bit of color on his wings. And get him in there, and then go back maybe with a hair a bit darker. And give him a little shading, and then put a little bit of my plum underneath. Don't know if that's what a hummingbird looks like, but that's what my hummingbird looks like. So there we go. I've got that done. Now, remember I talked to you about the dies that Heartfelt Creations makes, and that's what we're going to do next. I'm going to go ahead and put this to the side and pull out my Big Shot. And put my tulip die on there and my hummingbird die on my Big Shot. Now, of course, with our Big Shot, we all know that we're going to use our multi-purpose platform with all the tabs closed because we're doing a wafer die. I've got my first cutting plate here, my paper, my dies, and then my second cutting plate. And I'm going to send it on through. And we love our Big Shot machines. They're fabulous. They allow you to do basically any die that's currently sold on the market, and one machine does everything. You can't ask for better than that. No reason to have 3 or 4 different machines when you can just have the one. Now I've gone ahead and I have die cut out my tulip, and I have die cut out my hummingbird, and there we have it. But what are we going to do with them? Well, we're going to color them just like we did the base card. So again, I'm going to take my chalk. What? Stop. Wait. No, we're not going to color them. We have to stamp them first. That's the whole point of the demo here. So now I'm going to pull out my tulip stamp that I stamped right there. I'm going to pull it out again, put it on my block, ink it up, this time I'm going to take my die cut and I'm going to lay it on top of the stamp, as opposed to taking the die cut and trying to stamp this way, where you're trying to line it up and you can't really see, I'm going to take and lay my block down and put my die on top. Just like that. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be centered exactly. It just has to get on there. And then I'm just taking a random sheet of paper and pressing on top. And this is to help my fingers from getting overly inky. Okay. All right, I think we're good. I'm going to pull it up, and I have now stamped my image onto my die. And this is what Heartfelt Creations is known for. Their dies and their stamps, so that you can layer and you can pop up and you can make dimensional cards and dimensional pages. So I'm also going to do the same thing with my hummingbird. I've got my hummingbird stamp. And again, I'm going to ink it up. I'm going to lay my hummingbird right on top of the stamp. I'm going to lay it right on top. Give it a little press down, take my sheet of paper and just press it down. And again, the only reason why I'm doing that is because I don't want my fingers to get all inky. Pull it up, and there's my hummingbird stamped right onto my die. That's amazing. Love Heartfelt Creations for that. All right, then what are we gonna do? We're going to go ahead and color these just like we did our base card here. So I'm going to take a little bit of the green on my hummingbird real quick and get him done. And take a little bit of the darker color and get it in there. And take a little bit of my frosted plum from Clear Snap. And again, this is a dye ink, and we like dye inks because it's kind of the middle range ink. It dries a little bit slower than a chalk, but faster than a pigment. You don't have to heat set it. And let's take a little bit here and get my flower done. A little darker on the bottom just for some shading. A little bit lighter on the top. And again, since I used my Memento ink, I could have gone ahead and colored these with Copics. All right. Then I'm going to take my Pop Dot. Actually, I want to stamp a sentiment. I think I want to stamp a sentiment on there. So I will take "You Are a Great Friend," and I'm going to ink that up real quick, and that's a hero art stamp. And you can use any sentiment that works for you. I'm going to put it down here. So now I've got my sentiment on there. And then I'm going to take and Pop Dot these up. Right onto the face of my card. So when your card is all done, what you end up with is something very similar to this, where you've got the three-dimensional dies sitting on top of your original stamp. I've got my scallop card that I cut out of my Spellbinders Nestability Grands, and my sentiment is attached. There we go. And just to give you an idea, we also did this card at our Make and Take this last Saturday, where we again stamped on the bottom and smudged and then popped up the dies that came with Heartfelt Creations. And here is another sample that we did. So what did we learn today? We learned that Heartfelt Creations not only makes stamps, but they make amazing dies, and that you can then 3D all of your cards and your pages by layering them on top of each other. And we learned that Spellbinders has new nestability grands that allow you to do huge shapes and card bases and frames and tags, and that most of them work with your big shot, but call to be sure. Now, if you have any questions, don't hesitate, and you can find all of these products at scrapbooking-made-simple.com. Thanks so much.